everyone, it's Kathy. Welcome back into my craft room and back on my YouTube channel, Kathy's Random Acts of Stampin'. I got this cute little card we're going to do today. Don't you just love this? I pulled in a little bit of different ribbon. Now this is a prototype, so it's not going to be perfect, and I'll tell you why. I cut my paper too short this way, just like that. And what I did, when I redo this, I'm gonna use the full 11-inch piece of cardstock. So we're gonna cut our cardstock all the way down to 11, and then we'll have this piece that will go down the back. But anyway, I'll show you that when we get to it. I also did another one using just designer series paper for the focal point, and I thought this was really cute too. And I took this from that new pack of paper that is called it's that beautiful, beautiful, what is it called? One Horse Open Sleigh. And this is the piece that I used. And I'm going to show you. You can see where I cut the cabin here and here. And then I cut the trees in half here. And if you save this piece over here, and we're going to do that, you can put that inside rather than stamping a tree. I did stamp one on this one, but nevertheless, it's really a pretty card, and we're gonna basically visit this one today. And I'm gonna do this one, but I'm gonna change it up with this particular one. Let me get this designer series paper put up. I don't want to drop it. With this one, I used the Moody Mauve and Basic White. And I used the Irresistible Blooms and Dies for the front. I used my Time Worn Type embossing folder. If you notice, there's embossing on the back of the white pieces. Isn't that pretty? And I love this because it has such an old feel to it. I really love that embossing folder. But I decided for this one that we're going to make today, I colored it using my Stampin' Blends, and all I used was mauve and lemon lime twist and the dark Daffodil Delight. So I loved everything about this one, but I thought I'm going to try it with using a little bit of different products. So for this one, I'm going to use the Two-Tone Flora for my florals, the Two-Tone Flora dies, the Cane Weave embossing folder. I'm going to use my Melon Mambo ink, some white cardstock, and some of the Melon Mambo cardstock. So that's what we're going to do, and I'm going to show you just how we're going to do this. So let's get started. These are all Stampin' Up! Products. Let me show you in the catalog where you can find the Two-Tone Flora, and I'm going to go to my index because that's always my go-to place. It's on page 34. This always makes it easy for me to find what I'm looking for. 33, 34. There is our Two-Tone Flora, and it's no longer bundled with the dies, so you can't get the bundle price. It was actually in our last mini catalog, our spring and summer. No, I'm sorry. It was in our last fall catalog, and it was a carryover. So I loved this because I thought it was beautiful. I love the two-step stamping that you have on this. So you can do one with this stamp and kind of stamp up. I'll show you. It's really easy. But page 34 is where you can find those where you can find the stamp set, and then the dies are in the back, and it tells you here the dies are on page 167. So the dies are right here, and the Two-Tone Flora. You also get that background die, which is beautiful, but we're only going to use these pieces right here today. So let's go ahead and get started. Put my catalog up, and let's go ahead and cut our cardstock first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut this piece down to 4 1/4 by 11, and I'm cutting on that 8 1/2-inch side. So I'm going to line it up at 4 1/4. Like that. And then we're going to open up our arm, and this opens up all the way to 17 1/4 inches. So it's great if you're a scrapbooker. This is the perfect trimmer for you. We're going to do some scoring. So the first score mark is going to be, I'll tell you what, let's do our scoring on our scoreboard. I really like scoring on my scoreboard as of late. And I'm going to do that. I'm going to bring it out. And I want to make sure y'all can see the top of it, so I'm going to move it over just a hair. We're going to score at 1, at 2, and then all the way down at 6.5. So those are going to be our score marks. So I'm going to go ahead and bend that. Uh-oh, my little top is popping off of there. I'm going to put that back in. We will need it. Let's go ahead and do one more cut, and then we'll bring that back up and do our scoring on our other piece. Now this one was done a lot thinner because I just wanted that focal point for that front panel. So I think that was only like 2.5, and then the other piece was 2.25. Yeah. So this one is going to be done a little bit different because I'm going to do it like I did this one. So this piece is going to measure at 3 inches across. So we're going to cut this down to 3. So just put it in there like that on the 3-inch mark and get our score blade out of our way, and we're going to just come up something like that. And let me measure because I'm not sure. I think we're going to do the full, yeah, we're going to do the full 11-inch piece across here, and I am going to bring that and I'm going to go ahead and crease it at 5.5, and I'm just going to do that here. Get that cut blade out of your way. When I was making this card this morning, I literally cut into my paper twice. So that's another thing by having the scoreboard. If you have a hard time differentiating, and I know which blade is which, but I still sometimes will cut my paper, and I hate that. It's not as bad with the cardstock because I can always pull another piece of cardstock, but many times I run out of my designer series paper or the sheet that I'm wanting to work with. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and give that a good score and fold it. Fold it like that. Okay, we need to cut our white piece, and our white piece needs to be, again, I'm going to have to measure because I didn't write down any of my measurements when I was working this. That's going to be 5.25 by 2 3/4. So 2 3/4, just like that, by 4 1/4. And you're also going to need some of these pieces. You know, we're not going to need the pink. I need the white. This is what I need in the 1/2-inch pieces. Lost my head totally. Just forgive me. All right, we need 2 of these, 2 pieces at 1/2 inch. And I just cut them off of that piece that was left over from where I cut this piece. All right, so there are our white pieces that we need. We're also going to need a piece to go inside, and this piece needs to be 4 by 4 1/4. So 4 inches by 4 1/4. And that's going to be your inside piece. All right, I think we're done cutting. So now we're going to go ahead and fold our card. Like I said, this is our 6.5-inch score mark. So you're going to fold it so it's a mountain fold. Then on these, you're going to fold that first one that's all the way up to the top. You're going to fold that up and the other one down. And it's going to give you this little, it's going to be a mountain and then a valley, if that makes sense. So if you're folding from the front of it, you're going to fold it up into a mountain, and then you're going to fold it down into a valley. So mountain and valley. And that is the basis of our card right here. Now this piece is going to attach to this piece, but we want to decorate first. This is going to attach right in the middle over top of this piece, and it will go all the way to the bottom of your card back here. So that is like a faux step card, but this is going to be a center step rather than a side step, which I love cards like that. So the next thing I want to do is I want to emboss this piece. And remember this extra cardstock we had left over? Hang on to it because we're going to do some stamping on it. So for this piece, I'm going to use my embossing folder. And for this one, I'm using the cane weave. And I'm going to put all of my pieces in and do this in one pass. I don't know how long I need these just yet, but I'm going to lay them in here beside of it. And just go ahead and get those embossed while I am embossing. Now I know this is a 3D embossing folder, so I don't want that over top of that. I want it to be right here on the sides. Let's see if we can pull that over. You just want to make sure they don't lap over each other. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to grab my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, and this is my big boy. And let me see if I can zoom y'all out just a bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to open him up. You notice I'm keeping my hand tight on this so these pieces don't shift. And all I need, because it's a 3D embossing folder, is I need my #1 base plate. That is our #1 base plate. You can see the one right there. And my #4 specialty plate. I'm going to lay my embossing folder in. And if at all possible, always feed your embossing folders in with the fold edge going in first. Sometimes you can't, because you're doing something a little bit different. These moved on me anyway, so I'm just straightening them up. Now I'm going to take this folder and put over, this plate and put over top of my folder, and then I'm just going to crank that through. It cranks in really super easy. This is such a beautiful machine to use. I love it. It is one of my favorite ever die cut machines. I did invest, as I told y'all in past videos, I did invest in a Big Shot Switch Plus, and it is an electric die cutting machine. And I do love it, and I use it a lot of times when I'm not on camera, when I need to do something. Now I'm going to zoom y'all back in just for a bit. I want you to be able to see what I'm doing as I'm putting this together. So I'm going to put my plates back over, lay my embossing folder over. A list of all of the items that I'm using will be in the PDF tutorial, along with order numbers and whatever. And if you're not currently working with a demonstrator, I would absolutely love to earn your business and be your demonstrator. So what we're going to do here is we're going to bring this up to about here. Yeah, we want to bring this up to about here. Did I cut that too short? I think I did. What did I cut that at? 4 1/4. Did I not measure this one all the way? Huh, it's 5 1/4. I'm an inch short. That's okay. We got another piece, so we're gonna cut it out of this one. So we'll just have to we'll have to emboss it again. Not a big deal. So I know I need it to be 5 1/4, not 4 1/4. Ah, it's been one of those days. And I believe I said 3 inches. No, 2 and I thought I said 3 inches. Maybe that was my piece here that was 3. Let's check this out one more time. It is 2 3/4. So 2 3/4, that's exactly what I got. So 2 3/4 wide by 5 1/4 long. Okay, we still have some pieces that we can use. We can always grab some more. Now this is going to work much better because now we can frame that or center it up right on that piece. And see how pretty that's going to look with that Melon Mambo. I love that color. So we're going to re-emboss this. We're going to bring that cane weave embossing folder back out again, and I'm going to line it up on my registration mark right there. See the black line? You have a registration mark that helps you make sure you got your pieces nice and straight. We're going to bring this back out. I'm not going to zoom out this time because I'm doing the same thing I did a while ago. I'm just moving my pieces over here out of my way. And Bella is snoring up a storm. Yes, she's had her treat, and she is all satisfied as can be. And oh, I don't need these. Oh, I don't need those plates. I need this one. Somehow I think I've got my plates mixed up. Oh well, we'll worry about that after the video. Alright, so I'm just going to put this plate back over top of that piece. Now that I have it cut in the right length. And I will cut out where I cut it wrong out of the video when I do my editing, so you will not see any of that. So if it looks like it jumped in a spot, it's because I don't want to confuse you with the wrong measurement, and I will correct it in my editing process. Alright, so here we go. Now we have this piece, and that's perfect. Isn't that beautiful? I love that embossing folder. So we're going to lay all of these pieces over to the side. I did drop one of my strips. And of course, you know, when you drop something on the floor, it's almost impossible to pick it up, but I got it. So I got all my pieces. I've got my card base, I've got my little accent piece, I've got my mat and my mats. So this is all good to go. I'm going to lay all of this over here. And now we're going to put away the things we don't need, which is our number 1 plate and our number 4 plate. So those are going right back over there. Now we're going to bring over this, these pieces of, okay Bella, move honey. She got under my chair, sorry about that. We're going to bring in our Mambo, our Melon Mambo, and our stamp set. Now I want to do the big flower, and then I'm going to do one of the smaller flowers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my solid image first, and that's the one that's got most of the black on it. When I say black, on the cover of showing these is what I'm talking about. All right, I'm going to put that stamp right about there, and I want to get a piece of grid paper, and I'll tell you why I want grid paper. I want to be able to stamp off. So let me grab, I think I just need a small piece. I thought I had some over here that was already inky, and I do. I try to use these up, you know, long before I, yeah, this one will work. I like to use them up as much as I can. Even though they look dirty, it's better to use it than it is to, okay, that's our other piece. Then to throw them out before you finished doing all your inking on them. So we're good. I'm going to get a Stampin' Pierce mat to put under this so that I get a nice impression. So I'm going to move that up to the top just a little bit. And I'm going to grab a block. And I'm going to ink. I'm going to stamp off. See how dark that is? And then I'm going to stamp on. This is going to give me like 2nd generation inking. And see how much lighter that is than this? Alright, so now I'm going to come back in with the detailed stamp, and that's the one that's got all the little lines in it. And you've got a place to line it up. If you look right here, you've got the little dots. I don't know if you can see that, but there's little dots right behind where the stamen is. And you've got them right here. And if you line that up with your stamp, something like that, and you can see the white through it, then you know that you're getting that onto your image just like you need it. I'm going to pull it down just a little bit to get it closer to me so I can look over it, hopefully not get my head in the camera. So I'm going to ink this up. Now this time I'm going straight in because I want a really dark color for my detail. So again, I'm going to hover over this, and it is hard to get this perfect when I can't, you know, if I get my head over it like that, maybe I can. I'm going to come down just a little bit more so I can see what I'm doing. I'm looking for my edges and that center. And we're going to stamp and hope for the best. And this is pretty forgiving. Oh, that's good. Now see how beautiful that image is? We're going to do one more. We're going to do the smaller one. So I'm going to grab that image out, and we're going to do the solid one first. And I don't think it matters in which direction. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to ink and stamp off and then stamp on like that. And I'm going to grab another block, and I'm going to grab the little detailed stamp, and that is, nope, that's not that one. That's this one. This one. And again, you got the little holes that you can line up, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So see which way they look like they go to best. I think like this. You just want to keep turning it until you get it about the way you want it. And I think it might go, something like that. All right, I'm gonna ink up, full ink this time, and I'm gonna come back over, and I am going to, let me pull it down a little bit so I can see what I'm doing. Bear with me. So I'm looking at my little dots in the middle, and ink. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? Look how beautiful both of those flowers are. So we're going to die cut those. So let me go off cam. Oh, I want to do some leaves too. Let's do some leaves. Let's go ahead and stamp. While we're stamping, I'm going to use my lemon lime twist, I think, for my leaves. Because the reason I want to use something a little different is because I'm debating, y'all. Do I want? Yes, I'm gonna go. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go with Granny Apple Green. I love the pink with Granny Apple Green, so I'm going with those colors. And I'm gonna grab another stamp block for my leaves. And for the leaves, we have these little tiny leaves. So I'm gonna stamp probably about 3 or 4 of those, because I want enough of leaves that I can. I'm going to go over this way a little bit with them so I can cut the leaves off and I can do them separate. 2, 3, and 4. That'd be good. Those are small leaves, so that's why I'm going with more leaves than I did on the other card. And again, you know, it's your card and your creation, and it's your preference. So use what you like. Do you. You never can go wrong if you do you. So I'm going to take my scissors and I'm going to cut up the side here. And any of these crafting items that I use that are not Stampin' Up products, the cardstock, the stamp sets, the embossing folders, those are all Stampin' Up products. My ink, my stamp blocks, all of that is. But these scissors are my go-to, and they are listed in the link below, and you can pick those up off of Amazon. They are a great pair of scissors. I've got 3 sizes in these, and I love all of them. But that long pair I do go to the most. Okay, excuse my coughing. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and go off camera, and I'm going to die cut all of these pieces out, and then we'll meet right back up and we'll go ahead and get this put together. I'll be right back. Okay guys, I'm back, and what I'm doing is I'm just cleaning up some of my stamps while I was getting everything else ready. I did go back in and stamp another one of the larger flowers because I really wanted I wanted the larger flowers to show. So I don't know if I'm going to use the smaller one or not. We'll decide when we start putting the front of the card together. But anyway, my stamps are all nice and clean. I'll wait and put these away after the live. But y'all know I'm a stickler for cleaning stamps, and I was using my Stampin' Scrub, which I absolutely love for cleaning up any of my stamps. The other thing I want to do is I want to stamp a thank you, and I want to use the same one that I used here. And remember, I told y'all I used the Irresistible Blooms, so I'm going to grab the sentiment out of that one, because as you can see, there's no sentiments on the stamp. It's all images. So I thought, I really need to grab a sentiment. I love the font in the Irresistible Blooms. This font is so pretty. I like you, hello, thank you, hooray, it's your day. I couldn't be happier to have you as my friend. So I think this is just the perfect stamp set all the way around. We also have some of these little splatters here that makes it really nice, but I'm not using the flowers or the leaves. I'm only going to use the sentiment, and I think I'm going to go back to the thank you for this one. And let's see if it'll fit on here, and I believe it will. Maybe this piece here is a little bit bigger, so let's go with this piece. I want to have room to cut around this. So, and I'm going to stamp this in my VersaFine ink. Again, this is not a Stampin' Up! Product, but it is my favorite ink for stamping sentiments, so therefore that's what I use. And this is also listed in my Amazon affiliate links below the video. So if you want a really good ink for stamping your sentiments, now you cannot do alcohol blending or anything like that with this ink, but for your sentiments, it is my go-to ink. And you're going to see why when I come up off of this. You're going to see exactly why I love it for sentiments. Look at that image. Love it. I love it. To get that Christmas from your memento, you probably would have to stamp 2 or 3 times and use a stamp positioner. But I get beautiful image the first time every time. Now, because this is a pigment ink and not a dye ink. A dye ink is water-based, and this is a pigment ink, so it will stain your stamps a little bit more. So I come in with my Stampin' Scrub and clean those up right after I finish with them, and they clean up beautifully. The clean stamps, or the red rubber they used to be called, they clean up so good. Alright, I'm going to go ahead and take my my paper snips, and these are Stampin' Up, and I'm just going to cut down on that. And then I'm going to start just kind of following the font, and I'm going to fussy cut this, just like this. And this is like almost like a little bit of a bubble cut, and I'm just going to follow around very slowly. I think a lot of times this might be why you're not happy with your fussy cutting. Sometimes I think we go too fast, and it causes us to get offline. But if you go slow, like this, you can pretty much get a really beautiful cut every time. So you just got to be patient. You know, good things come to those who wait. So I'm waiting, and I'm just following this around, just like that. And then back down this way, and back around. And if you get too sharp of an angle, you can go back and trim those off once you're done. I'm going to come up this way, and then back around this way, and then back around this way, and then I'm just going to round that off, just like that. Now I do notice right here I have a little bit of a weird angle, so I'm going to come in. You can always go back, as long as you don't cut too much off. You can go back and trim up, and look how pretty that is. I love the way that turned out, and that is ready to go onto our card. So let's go ahead and assemble our card now. Here's all of our pieces. So the first thing I want to do is I want to grab a bone folder. And this is my Dress Your Craft Teflon bone folder. I love this, especially when I'm using darker cardstock, because it doesn't leave that sheen on your cardstock that you can get from some of the other types of bone folders. So that's why I'll prefer that one. And it's a nice heavy weight. I don't know, it just feels substantial in my hand. And I do love it for that reason. Alright, I'm going to put some glue on the back of this. And I'm going to just go across the top, and I'm going to go back and forth because I want to get into all those little crevices. And just like that, all the way down. And then I want to lay this down. So my opening's up here, but it really doesn't matter because we just want to center this. We just want to get this nice and centered on this piece. That's crooked as it can be, so let's come back up. Good thing with liquid glue, you have that wiggle room. So let's go up and over. That looks really good right there. So then we're just going to bring it straight down. Let's go back up to the top a little bit. Something like that. And then follow it down to the bottom. And about like that. Now I'm going to turn that over and I'm going to give it a press from the inside. And the reason I'm doing that, I don't want to iron out my embossing mat, my embossing folder that I did. So now we can go ahead and decide how we want to put these flowers on here. So I think I want one right here. I know I want my sentiment right here. And I think I want to do maybe one here. And let's see if we can get away with this little one. Let's go over this way just a hair. We can probably put the little one right there. I am going to pop some of these up. Let's see, we can do that one like that and that one like that. All right, and now let's look at our leaves and see where we want our leaves to go. I definitely want a leaf right here. And let's do a leaf out from this one. Oh, I see I got glue on my fingers. I got more than glue on my fingers. I got ink on my fingers too. But I tell you what, let's stick it down. I'm gonna start off with my sentiment because I'm gonna stick this directly down. So I'm just smearing a little bit of glue on that, like that, and I'm gonna put this right about here. This will help me know where I want to position my flowers. Isn't that gorgeous? That thank you just really pops up on this with the pink and the white. I love it. All right, do I want the darker flower up here? Yeah, I think I'm going to do the darker one right here with a set of leaves coming out right there. So I'm going to put a little bit of glue. You can see I stamped twice. Good thing paper's got front side and back side, right? So I'm going to put this right here, something like that, and then I'm going to stick that down right about there. So now that I got my leaf on there and I know exactly where I want it, I'm going to go ahead and put glue on it. And my leaves. And then I'm going to stick that just like that. Give it a press. And now this one, I want it to be coming up right about here. Yep, I think I want that one right there. So I'm going to put glue on the back of it. I'm only going to have one of the flowers that's actually sticking up, and that's going to be this last one. And it's going to be, I need to trim that off just a little bit. You can see in my die cutting, I didn't do a really good job of getting my dye on there, and I've got a little bit more white showing right here than I would like. And if that happens, take your paper snips and just go in and snip it off so that everything looks very conformed. So now I'm going to put this one right about here. Let's get some leaves under this one. About right there. That looks good. And you don't have to worry about it hanging off because you're going to be putting it on this card base, so everything's going to fit beautifully. So I want to pop this one up, but I want a little bit of glue right there because I think that's where I want that leaf. Yeah, right about there. So I'm going to put some glue right here, and then I'm going to stick that leaf into that glue. And then I'm going to set this flower, oops, I didn't let it set up quite long enough, did I? It's okay. It's glue, it will glue back. And now I want to pop this one up, so I'm going to grab, sorry about the frog in my throat, y'all. I'm going to take and pop this up with some dimensionals. And I don't think we're going to need a whole bunch, but I am going to secure it because I am putting it on that embossed piece. So I'm going to use about 5, and I'll put one right over where those leaves came together. And this and this, and this and this. Now we can get our popped up or raised up piece right about here. Oh, I love that. Isn't that gorgeous? It's like a little bouquet. And we've got another leaf if we decide we want to put one on here. And you know, I don't know. Let's see if we want one coming out right here. Oh, why not? That really kind of finishes it off. So I'm just going to put glue on the back of this, right there on that little edge. See how I put glue just right on that corner edge. And then I'm going to pop this just up underneath that flower like that. And you can take your bone folder or you take your pick tool or whatever and just get up underneath there. I'm going to grab my little vac. These are also under my affiliated links. I love this little thing. Cleans up your desk so easy. And they're very inexpensive, and it runs on a AA battery, and I love mine because it makes short work of your pieces, and whenever it gets full you just empty it in your wastebasket and go right on about your business. Okay, so now we have the front of this card, and I'm going to go back in and make sure that these are really creased down, especially this part right here. So you really want to spend some time on your crease, especially here and here. Get that crease down really well. Now what we're going to do, we're going to take this whole piece and we're going to glue it right in the middle on this piece right here. So you want to center it. The centering is very important. So make sure you got about the same amount on each side, something like that. When you are good with it, you know you've got about 3/4 of an inch there to, actually I believe it's an inch. Let's do our measuring. Another one of my favorites. Okay, it is 1 inch. So you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna use some Stampin' Seal. And this is the Stampin' Seal Plus, and I love this stuff. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put Stampin' Seal underneath here. And if I put it right here on my mat, I know that from here to here is 1 inch, so I can see exactly where I'm putting that. So now I know that that's going to work really well on the front of my card. The only thing I need to do is make sure I have it even. So before I press that down, I am going to look, eyeball. That looks just about perfect. So now I'm going to press that down. I'm going to come back over here and give it a good press under the bottom. Now we're going to close the card down and we're going to glue this piece right down here. That is going to help your card to stand up. Once you get that adhered to that back piece, your card's still going to open, but it's going to be adhered to the piece right here. So I'm going to close everything down like this. I'm going to open this piece up, and again I'm going to go on my grid, and I can see that from there to there is 1 inch. So I'm going to start right here and right here. I also have a link for this mat if this is something that you're interested in. I love my magnetic mat. It is wonderful. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this just fall in place. So I'm going to close my card, and then I'm just going to let this fall right into place and give it a press. So now the front part of our card is done. The only thing we got left to do is putting our little pieces in here that look so stinking cute. Look at that. I think if we push them all the way down, that will be perfect. So these are 4 1/4 by 1/2 inch. So our 2 side pieces, and we ran them through our folder. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn these over and I'm going to put liquid glue. I'm using the liquid glue because I really need to get in all those little crevices. And then I'm going to take and open up my card, and I'm going to put this all the way down to the bottom, and I want just a tiny bit of that border to show. And I'm going to work that all the way up See how I got it going down with just a tiny bit of the pink showing? I know it's hard for y'all to see because it's kind of behind the card, but you'll see when I get it. I'm going all the way down to that fold right here, and then I'm going to let it come all the way up to the top. Making sure that I'm keeping it nice and straight. And there's that. And see? Isn't that beautiful? Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So right here, we're going to put this piece in just like this, all the way down to that fold line. You don't want to go over that fold line. You just want to go to it. Because if you go over it, then you're going to have difficulty with this closing. And you want that card to close really tight. So I'm going to open that back up. And I'm going to put glue on the back of this piece just like I did before. And then I'm going to come down. I'm going to go down to all the way down to the bottom to that fold line. But I'm going to make sure, see I'm pressing that down to make sure I'm not going over it. Okay, and then I'm going to work it up, having that tiny little bit of a border all the way up. And there are our pieces in. Isn't that beautiful? I love it. Okay, now we need to decide what color ribbon do we want to wrap around this. And the only thing that's current in pink is our bubble bath, and I'm not sure. I think it'll work. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run a piece of bubble bath around this piece, and I'll show you how I'm going to do that. This is gorgeous because it's got silver running throughout. I don't know if you can see that. See that? It's a very shimmery ribbon. It is just stunning. So what I want to do is I'm going to put a glue dot on both sides of this, on this back side. So here's your card like this. You're going to open it all the way up, and on each side of this, which is this panel right here, you're going to put a glue dot. So I'm going to grab my glue dots, and I'm literally going to use my finger. And I'm going to put a glue dot right there. And I'm going to grab one more. And I'm going to put it right there. So now when I wrap my ribbon around, just like this, I'm going to lay that ribbon down. I'm going to kind of hold it, and I'm just going to tack it into that, tack the ribbon down into that glue dot. See the glue dot? Just like that. I'm going to pull it because I want that to be fairly, tight across there. And I'm going to stick that down. Then I'm going to take my snips. I don't like to use my snips for my ribbon, but I'm going to do it in this case. And that's going to be like that. Isn't that pretty? Then we're going to tie us a bow. And I'm going to do a little double loop bow. And I'm going to cut this off about to here. And I'm going to thread that down through my fingers. Let me show you all again how I did that. Lay your ribbon over your fingers, bring it under your index and over your middle, over your index and under your middle, or no, over your middle, and then take your tail and feed it in between that little V, right in between your fingers, making sure it comes down through the middle. I got glue all over my fingers. Then when you pull that through, you're going to take this piece of your ribbon and you're going to loop it back under that ribbon that came down in the middle. And then you're going to pull it, just kind of rock it back and forth. And when you're done, you're going to pull that off of your finger and you're going to pull your tails down, something like that. And you're going to have this cute little double bow that's going to look absolutely precious on your package, or on your, yeah, you could do it on a package too. I'm going to take my fabric scissors and I'm going to cut that off and cut that off just like that. And then I'm going to take another glue dot And this time I'm going to take there's my glue dot. I'm going to put my bow, the back of it, right into the glue dot and pull it off. And then I'm going to set that down right here onto that piece of ribbon. And now all we have left to do is to take our piece of cardstock that is cut 4 1/4 by 4 1/2. No, 4 by 4 1/4, I'm sorry. And that's going to go in right here. But before we do that, I'm going to put a sentiment on the inside. And I think I'm going to use, I couldn't be happier to have you as my friend. I love that sentiment. I think it's so pretty. And we're gonna stamp that in the Melon Mambo. So I'm going to put it right about there. It leaves you a place here where you can sign your card. And I'm going to pick that up like that. Go ahead and ink it. I always like to check my stamps to make sure that they're inking. It's hard in the red ink though with the rubber. We're going to... Is this the right piece or was that the right piece? I think I have two pieces that are the same. Okay, we got an extra piece in case we mess up. So let's try this. Get it nice and straight and stamp. Very good. So there is our inside. Let's close my ink pad because y'all know I can get into some ink in a heartbeat. I am going to go back to my two-tone floral. Set that over there. And I just want to do a couple of leaves. So I'm going to take out the, oh, I got them already over here. I'm going to take out those leaves and I'm going to stamp just a little leaf right about there. And what about right here? Just to jazz it up just a little bit. Isn't that pretty? I love, love, love it. All right, so now we can open up our card and we are ready to set this inside of our card. Is that not gorgeous? So I'm going to use some Stampin' Seal because it's right here and I don't have to wait for it to dry. Love my Stampin' Seal. Took me a while to embrace it, but you know, now that I have, I go to the Stampin' Seal Plus and I never want to be without it because it is a very good adhesive. And I didn't feel that way when it first came out, but I have had a change of heart. So I'm going to set that down just like that, give it a press, and this card is done. So what do y'all think? Let me know which one you like the best, whether you like the bright pink, the Moody Mauve done with the irresistible blooms. I think I'm loving this one. Or do you like the Christmas card that's done very simple and letting the paper do all the work for you? This is a really simple one to do. I love all three of these. I think they're gorgeous. I think anybody would love to receive one of these cards. And as I always say in closing, let everything that you do and say bring glory to our Father in heaven. He is worthy. If you want to purchase any of the products you saw me use today, whether it was Stampin' Up or one of my little craft room I can't live without products, everything will be in the description below, along with my blog. My blog has everything that you would need on it, but I do have the information underneath the video that you can click on for the links, and you can go to my blog or my Stampin' Up store and shop till you drop. God bless and keep you. I love you guys so much, and thanks for tuning in once again. Bye-bye.